All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about something that's, well, it's a huge challenge to the way most of us live our lives. That constant hunt for comfort, for safety, for everything to be predictable. This whole idea comes from Friedrich Nietzsche's take on Greek mythology, and it asks a really sharp question. In building these safe, comfortable lives, what have we accidentally locked away?
And boom, there it is. That's the core accusation right there. It's pointed straight at us, at our modern way of thinking that tries to get rid of all risk, all pain, all chaos. The idea here is pretty radical. By running from the bad stuff, we actually end up cutting ourselves off from the really good stuff, because life's most amazing moments are tangled up with its most frightening ones. You can't have one without the other.
I mean, think about it, right? We optimize our schedules, we plan everything out, we have insurance for our insurance. We've built these cages of security to keep the wildness of life at bay. But this philosophy says that very wildness, that chaos, is where all our vitality, our real creative juice comes from. So the big question is, what did we give up to feel so safe? To really get what we've lost, we gotta go way back. See, the ancient Greeks didn't run from this duality at all. Nope, they put it right at the heart of their entire culture. They understood that life was this constant, epic battle between two massive, godlike forces. So this is the cosmic tug of war the Greeks saw everywhere. On one side, you've got Apollo. Think order, reason, logic, sunlight. He's all about clean lines, structure, the beauty of a perfectly sculpted individual. But then, on the other side, you have Dionysus, and he's the complete opposite. He's the god of wine, of pure instinct, of divine madness. This is raw, untamed chaos. It's that feeling where you disappear into the crowd at a concert, that primal unity. It's ecstasy for sure, but it's also terrifying.
Now here's the absolute genius of the Greeks. They didn't pick a side. Instead, they did something incredible. They created Greek tragedy. And on that stage, they forged what Nietzsche called a mystical marriage between these two gods. They took all the terror, all the chaos, all the suffering from Dionysus, and poured it into the beautiful, structured, coherent form of Apollo. And just like that, pain wasn't something to just get through. It was transformed into something sacred, something meaningful. So how did this actually work? Well, on stage, you'd have the Dionysian chorus, which was like this raw force of nature, just pure primal emotion. Then the Apollonian characters and their dialogue would show up, and they'd give all that raw energy a story, a shape. The hero's downfall wasn't just sad. It was this magnificent, awe-inspiring spectacle. The beauty of the art was like a mask, and it was a brilliant trick. It let the audience stare right into the abyss of life and see meaning there, instead of just being overwhelmed by the horror of it all. And this amazing, powerful balance, it held their whole world together. It gave meaning to everything, even the worst kinds of suffering. But then, something new came along. A new way of thinking that would just shatter this whole mystical marriage for good. Yup, Socrates. Now, in this story, he's not the hero of philosophy we usually hear about. He's actually the villain who took apart this whole tragic worldview. He walked onto the scene and started asking this one simple-sounding question that would change everything. But what is it? Can you explain it to me logically?
That's how Nietzsche put it. Socrates came along with this cold lantern of logical optimism. It demanded that everything, every myth, every deep feeling, every mystery, had to be dragged into the light of reason and justify itself. If you couldn't explain it with cold, hard logic, it was worthless. And you can probably guess, the divine madness and the sacred chaos of Dionysus, well, it just couldn't survive that kind of examination. It just withered. And that, right there, is the heart of Socratic rationalism. It completely changes how we see hardship. Suffering is no longer this sacred, essential ingredient for creating beauty and strength. No, now it's just a bug in the system. It's a problem that our reason can and should figure out how to eliminate. For Nietzsche, this was just a total slander against what life really is.
You can see how this shift started a kind of domino effect. We begin with this tragic balance where suffering is deep, it's sacred, it has meaning. Then Socratic reason comes in and says, nope, it's just a problem we need to fix. And where does that line of thinking eventually take us? Well, right here, to our modern world, where suffering is so often seen as just meaningless. It's an inconvenience, an empty feeling that we should avoid no matter what.
Okay, so if we're stuck in this cage of meaningless safety, how do we break out? How do we get that vitality back? The good news is, this Dionysian way of thinking doesn't just point out the problem. It actually offers us a way forward, a path to cultivate a truly heroic yes to life. The goal is to develop what's called a tragic disposition. Now, that doesn't mean being gloomy or pessimistic. Not at all. It's a seriously powerful, heroic attitude. It's the ability to stand right in the middle of a hurricane of problems and not just survive it, but actually laugh. It's about finding strength and energy in the struggle itself, not by trying to run away from it. So, to get to this state of being, to build this kind of inner fortress, this philosophy offers one single ultimate tool. It's a concept that's super easy to say, but incredibly hard to actually live by. Amor fati. It's Latin. It means love of one's fate. And that is the absolute key. This isn't just putting up with your fate or passively accepting it. No, this is an active, passionate love for everything that has ever happened to you, everything that is happening now, and everything that will ever happen. The good, the bad, all of it. So how in the world do you actually do that? Well, first, you accept your fate, and I mean all of it. You welcome whatever comes your way without wishing things were different. Second, and this is the really wild part, you learn to love the struggle. You start to see the chaos, the pain, the challenges, not as obstacles, but as the very forces that are forging you into who you're meant to be. And finally, you affirm the totality. You say a huge, heroic yes to your entire life without wanting to edit out a single second. What this all boils down to is seeing your own life as this grand, tragic, beautiful masterpiece. It's understanding that your worst moments, your deepest pains, your personal tragedies, these are not flaws to be hidden or erased. They are the very chisel and hammer that are sculpting your soul and building your strength. Only by embracing the whole picture can you get to what Nietzsche called a great health. And that leaves us with a final and really the only question that matters. This isn't some abstract puzzle for ancient philosophers. This is for you, right here, right now. Take a look at your entire existence, the joys, the sorrows, the wins, the failures. Can you look at the whole messy, beautiful, terrifying picture and say yes to it? Can you truly, deeply love your fate?